What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Love After Lockup. This is season 5, and I want to say episode 39. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So before we get into it, let me just say this. I think I'm catching a cold, which lets me know that we're definitely moving seasons. Like we are going into fall because that normally happens when we switch seasons. I get sick. So I'm going to try my best not to sniff or cough in your ear because that's disgusting. So let's get into this. So first up, let's talk about Letitia and Keith. I definitely feel like Letitia played us. So I feel like she played production and in turn we got played because I'm starting to feel more and more like Letitia knew that Keith wasn't getting out and that she did this season of Love After Lockup mainly because she is having those tax lien issues. She owes the government $31,000 on top of she might get convicted of fraud. I just feel like she is having money troubles. So that is why she lied to production in order to get on this season because the season finale is coming out next Friday. And pretty much we have not seen a lick of Keith. A lick of him, and she keeps like I just feel like she knew that man wasn't getting out. So we start off where we left off with Letitia, where Keith's aunt is pretty much telling Letitia that pink slip that we saw on the door was actually from the sheriff's department. Y'all getting evicted because the people that you've been paying rent to have not been paying the mortgage. So Letitia feels like she got the weight of the world on her shoulders because now she has to tell her daughters that, hey, Keith's not getting out around the time we thought he was. On top of that, we getting evicted. So we actually see her have a sit down with her daughters. The youngest one gets emotional once she realizes that her dad is not coming home in the time that she thought he was. We also find out that the reason why the little girl is so emotional is because Keith somehow, some way stepped up more being in prison than the girl's actual father. Like the little girl's actual dad does not, like, he's not in her life. The oldest daughter actually has a really good relationship with her father. So that's why she doesn't really feel the need to bond with Keith. I think in her mind, she just sees Keith as her mother's husband, which is cool because she got a daddy. I worry about because every time we see her oldest daughter, she just seems so detached. She never really has a reaction. And to me, no reaction is still a reaction. And it's just like the aunt is asking her, like, how you feeling? And she's like, I don't care. She's like, I don't know. But you clearly can tell like she does not like that man, or she does not have a connection with him. And Letitia even says like, yeah, she doesn't have a connection with him because she has a connection with her father. I'm like, if you know that, why are you so comfortable with this man coming to live with you and your kids when your oldest daughter is not comfortable? Like, you clearly can tell that she is not comfortable with this, you know? So she then tells them like, hey, we about to move. So the little girl is like kind of confused about what's going on, the youngest. Letitia ends up saying like, oh, you can have your garden, we can go to the beach, I'm thinking about moving us to Charlotte. And I'm like, are you talking about Charlotte, North Carolina? There's probably a bunch of Charlottes, but that's the only Charlotte I know. Okay. And I'm like, so you're gonna move from Indiana to North Carolina? That's a big jump. That's like a good 15 to 16 hour drive. Like, you're about to really uproot your family to move to Charlotte. And I'm like, okay, y'all live in Indiana. Y'all can't live in Ohio, Kentucky. What's else? Is Michigan, like Wisconsin? Like, why are we moving all the way from the Midwest to the South? That's a big jump. And I feel like I think Letitia is doing this on purpose because she said in her confessional, she's like, you know, if we move to another state, Keith can definitely parole to my house. So I'm just like, are you doing this because you want him to parole to you in a different area? Because you know for sure he's going to parole to your house? Or is there like some behind the scenes mess going on where he might not be able to parole if y'all don't move? It's just something about Letitia in this story is just it's sneaky. It's sneaky because I really do feel like she played us. On top of that, Her trying to like entice the kids about, oh, we can go to the beach, moving to Charlotte, if in fact it is Charlotte, North Carolina. Girl, the closest beaches in Charlotte, you got Wilmington, North Carolina. That's like a 3-hour drive. Virginia Beach is probably 5 hours. And then the Dirty Myrtle is like a good 3 hours and 30-minute drive from Charlotte. So I'm like, y'all just can't get up and go to the beach. I just feel like everybody being played and Letitia is the culprit. So let's talk about Julian and Christine. I'm starting to see what the people have been saying about Julian being slick controlling, or I don't know if it's controlling, more so he is a worrier and a Debbie Downer. you know? So we get to their scene. Julian is in the process of doing another interview. At least we see the man trying to get a job. And Christine is on the third floor making flyers. We find out that her prison name was Chris 50. She actually has a tattoo on her ankle of of what they used to call her in prison. They called her that because she robbed 6 banks. She told us last episode that she was in the process of preparing to do stand-up. She thinks she wants to be a stand-up comedian. She said in high school she was voted like most funniest or the funniest in her class. So she's just like, I have a lot of trauma, and I found out in prison, people with the most trauma or who have serious trauma are the funniest. And that's true. That's actually true. Some people who are able to look at their situations and make light of it are the funniest people because they've done they've been through it. Plus they've also thought about what happened to them. So I get where she's coming from. So we see Julian finishing his interview, and Christine comes down excited to tell him that she's making flyers for her stand-up and she's excited for him to come. Julian is like, you don't want to pick up some more shifts? Because clearly, I don't have a job and we need to be worrying about paying your restitution, paying the lawyers for you to get your kids. Also, we got to pay these bills. And Christine is like, I don't like where this conversation is going. I came down here so we could have a conversation and for your support. And Julian's like, I don't know if I support this because what if it doesn't go well and emotionally you can't handle it and you relapse? And I feel like he's always throwing relapsing in her face. And I don't know how much I'm okay with this because I'm like, are you throwing relapsing in her face because she not clean or she just got sober a few days ago? Or are you throwing relapsing in her face because you just know that's a way to control her? You know what I mean? But I do feel like Christine ain't been sober that long, and that's why Julian is worried because she's starting to give that erratic ticking in her confessionals again, where she just gets the moving and that jaw get the clicking. And I'm like, maybe she's not sober and that's why he's stressed out. But Julian ends up being like, okay, I might show up. Cause she was like, are you going to come? And he was like, I may come. And Christina's like, every time I ask you to do something, you don't want to do it. And I'm just like, yeah, like Julian, why do you not want to do things with her? It is giving controlling because Christine wants to do things with you. So the next scenes we see of Christine and Julian is Christine on her way to the actual stand-up comedy event. She puts one of her flyers in the bathroom, leaves a sexy message on the mirror. Girl, if I got to do all of that for you to come support me, then I don't need you, because I shouldn't have to do all of this to get you to come to something. So she pulls up to the event. Her friends are there. The bar is packed. Her friends are like, girl, where's Julian? And she's like, I don't know. Hopefully he comes. Christine also says that Julian has never let her down, so she hopes that he doesn't do it now with this situation because this means a lot to her. But then I kind of look at Julian being worried that Christine is valid because she about to do shots. And technically on her probation paperwork, she's not supposed to be drinking alcohol because she was like, on papers, I'm not supposed to be drinking. They don't show us seeing Christine take shots, but it's pretty much implied that she did do a shot. So it's like you already are exhibiting what Julian was worried about. You're taking shots, which might lead you back to doing drugs. So I get him worrying, but he needs to find a better way to communicate to Christine. Their scenes end up ending with her walking on up to the stage to actually do her routine. We don't see it happening, but based off the trailer, I don't think it went well because she in the car freaking out and crying to Julian. Let's talk about Kim and Joey. We find out Joey only been out of prison for 2 weeks, and it's all of this arguing. and spending of money. So we see Kim, and Kim just being like, it's too much going on. I'm over here having to teach Joey financial responsibility. I'm preparing for this wedding and all of this stuff. And she's like, I don't want to be mad at Joey anymore. Kim is like, I'm trying to prepare for our engagement party. I'm still pissed that he spent $2,500 instead of the $500 to buy tires, but he went and bought tires and rims. Like, I'm just over it. But I want to be happy because our engagement party is coming up. We see her in the kitchen looking at like decorations for the table and looking at table linen and everything, and she's just like, what am I going to do about this? We then see Joey pull up into the house, and we find out that Kim was out with her friends and got a Facebook friend request from Joey's ex. So she asked Joey, guess who I got a Facebook request from? And Joey's like, who? And she shows her phone, your ex. She was like, why is she messaging me again? And Joey's like, well, maybe to start trouble like she did in 2018. And so Kim is like, well, have you been talking to her? Because I feel like that's the only reason she's messaging me. And Joey's like, yeah. So Kim is like, what do you mean? Like, why have you been talking to her? And how did she get your number? And Joey's like, well, Michael gave her my number. I said, you lying, because you told us that Michael asked you, like, hey, do you want me to give your number to so-and-so? Because she's asking me, can she have your number? And you said yes. So Kim is like, have you been entertaining her? And Joey's like, well, yeah, but like, it ain't been nothing like that. Like, she messaged me on WhatsApp app because I could tell she was trying to be sneaky. So I've been screenshotting everything. So Kim snatches Joey's phone out of his hand because she's like, were you ever going to tell me about this? And he was like, yeah, I'm telling you about it now. That would have got you smacked if it was me. So she takes Joey's phone, and Kim is scrolling through. She was like, you've been having full-blown conversations with this girl. Like, what? Like, are you serious, Joey? And then Kim in her confessional is like, I don't think Joey has ever been faithful to any woman that he's been with. And I've been cheated on. And I said, and you also have cheated on other people. So it's just two cheaters being together. So what we talking about, Kim? Like, don't act like you some saint in this because you have cheated with other people on your husbands. So, okay, girl. So Kim is just like, seriously, Joey, are you serious? Like, do you want to be with me? Like, why are you talking to her? And Joey is just like, ugh, I'm sick of this conversation. So he leaves the house, and Kim is like, are you really about to leave right about now? And he's like, yeah. And I said, see, girl, because Kim then yells out, you're really about to leave in the car that I bought you and with the phone that I bought you. I said, yeah, because you're his sugar mama. For the past like several years, you've been giving him money. So of course he about to leave in the car that you bought him and in the phone you gave him. A phone is one thing, but nobody told you to buy this man a full-blown car. And if you were smart, you would have kept it in your name so you could call the police and get that thing repoed if you cause what? So Joey is like, yeah, go to the engagement party by yourself cause I'm not dealing with this anymore. So he leaves her. Kim's sitting on the porch, just standing there looking dumbfounded at the fact that this man just left her. We see Joey in the car being like, he messaged his ex on WhatsApp app and I think he said texted her and possibly even did it on Facebook, because he's like, I just want to meet up with her at Freedom Park so I can get some closure and let her know I don't want nothing to do with her. I want to move on. He keeps calling this girl the B word. So I'm like, clearly you still care about her, because the opposite of love is indifference. If you genuinely do not care about something anymore, you treat it with indifference. It doesn't get a rise out of you. You don't get angry. But every time Joey refers to this girl, it's, oh, this bitch keeps texting me. Oh, this B do this or this B does that. And it's like, it's because you still have hurt feelings about her ghosting you while you were in prison. Because Joey tells us that up until now, that girl has still been on his visitation list. But like, I think in the beginning years of his sentencing, she was there, but then she ended up leaving. And he always felt some type of way about that because he felt like she should have held him down. So we see Joey pull up at Freedom Park. He's like waiting for her to come because he messaged her. But we end the scene with us not knowing if she shows up or not, because Joey is like, I don't know what she looked like anymore, nor do I know what car she drives, but I'm just here to tell her I don't want her anymore and I want closure. And I said, you full of it, because you still like willing, like him still being willing to have her phone number, talking to her, having these conversations, telling her that like, why you messaging me while I'm with Kim? Her in them text message last episode saying, oh, you doing this family thing where you know you want to be with me, lets me know that Joey has been entertaining this girl like his friends said, and you've been telling her things which makes her feel like there's still a chance. Miss me with the, like, miss me, Joey. Ugh. But I don't feel bad for Kim because it's like you purposely put yourself in this position. There was no reason for you to be linking up with Joey. No reason. And the whole like, I'm a single mom and I only make $15 an hour, then why are you spending $2,000 on an engagement party? Why did you give him close to $15,000 while he's in jail? Why did you buy him a car? Why are we buying him a phone? You make stupid decisions, Kim. So I don't feel bad. So let's talk about Hope and Arthur. So it opens up and we see Hope in the car and she's heading to this Mexican restaurant to meet up with her two, it seems like older sisters. So it feels like Hope is probably the baby of the family, or at least the middle, but I feel like she's probably the baby of the family. We see her sister Destiny. I think that's the one that had the braids. And I think the one that had the ponytail, her name is Brianna. So they're at the bar and they're excited to see each other. I guess they all grew up in Dallas, but now the family, most people have moved to Washington, like Seattle, Washington. So they're complaining about how everything has changed. And then Hope kind of just tells them like, hey, I'm dating someone, and they're like, okay, did you go backwards? Are we moving forwards? Because we're hoping you didn't go back. What we're starting to realize is Hope has a horrible track record when it comes to dating people. So she's like, did you go backwards, sis? Or like, what's going on? And so she's like, his name is Arthur. And the sister with the braids is like, that name sounds really familiar. And she was like, what does Arthur do? Like, what kind of relationship is it? She's like, it was a long distance relationship. And now he's here in Dallas. And they're like, where does he live? She was like, he lives with me. And they're like, oh, so that's the reason why we couldn't move in with you or hang out with you. So then she finally admits that she met Arthur in jail. And they're like, oh, it's that Arthur. They're like, really, Hope? And she's like, yeah. She tells him how he had like a little mini breakdown. I said, no, you need to be honest with your sisters. That man dissociated. Like it wasn't a mini breakdown. It was a full on breakdown. The dude said he was seeing demons. Girl, that was more than what it was. So we end up moving away from that scene and going to Arthur where he's at the house and he's kind of nervous because he's like, I'm about to meet Hope's family and I hope they like me, but because I'm about to meet her grandparents and now her sisters and I'm a little nervous. So we actually see Hope's grandmother and her grandfather, and they seem like really lovely people. They're like, Papa, let Hope tell you why we here, because the older sisters are like, yeah. And so she was like, she got a boyfriend, and the grandma looked at her like, huh? What's his name? And who is he? So then we actually see Arthur pull up. They kind of looking at him with all them tattoos on his face. And I think the family is like, they don't want to judge him, but they're judging. I feel like, I know people are mad because I saw some people online mad that the family was judging Arthur, but let's keep it a buck. Like, if you saw Arthur and your cousin or your like a friend of yours brought Arthur to your house with all that stuff on his face, you would be looking at him funny. You would immediately start judging him. And mind you, I feel like judging is an instinct. Animals judge things every day because it's like either this is dangerous or it's not. Let me keep my guard up. So if I'm being honest, if my cousin or my sister pulled up with Arthur, I'd be like, what in the F is he doing here? Girl, what's all up on his face? I know for a fact my family would be like, why he look like a coloring book? Like, what's going on? What's going on? So Arthur sits down. I will say he does look handsome. We find out that the grandfather is a retired correctional officer. So he's like, I know the game, but he's trying to give Arthur a chance. Arthur, you can tell, is nervous as he's communicating with the family, and the sisters are giving it to him. And people were mad about the sisters giving it to him. And I'm like, y'all, be realistic. Like, they're asking valid questions. We only have sympathy for Arthur because we saw Arthur click out. and he wasn't there. So it's like they were not privy to that situation. Plus, we have been able to get to know Arthur before the family. But again, if you saw Arthur and your cousin pulled Arthur up, or your sister brought Arthur to the house, you would be looking at him with the side eye. So we found out that the sister Brianna got her degree in criminal justice, and she was like, I believe in, I forgot the name, I think she said, it starts with an R, but I can't remember the name, where she was like, I do believe in reformment and all of that stuff, but you have to want this more than she wants this. Arthur is feeling some type of way because he feels like Hope should be speaking up for him the way he speaks up to his family about her. But let's be real, Arthur, you have to speak up for Hope, because Hope does things for you. She was putting money on your commissary. She was coming to see you. You have done nothing for her other than just be there. Because when they asked you, what are you doing for her? All you can say is like, I'm there for her emotionally, but you're not there for her financially. And she's been paying for you. And nobody wants their family member in a one-sided relationship where they're putting out all the money and all the cash. And I agree with what her sister said. I'm rooting for Arthur and I'm rooting for Hope. Now, am I rooting for them to be together? I don't know about that. But at least he got a warm reception from the family. Like the grandfather seems to be pretty nice, where he's just like, I believe that you deserve a second chance. So don't focus on the past, move forward. And the sisters are like, you just gonna have to show us what you really are about. I think that's fair. So let's talk about Bianca and Daniel. We open up where we left off, where we see Bianca is still with Daniel's parents and his cousin Robert. Bianca got an attitude with Robert because she lets it be known that Robert told Daniel not to sign the marriage papers, and Daniel didn't sign them. You got Daniel's mom being like, Robert, why would you do that? And Robert was like, I didn't tell him not to marry you. I told him to think before making a serious decision. I sent him the email saying that, yo, you've never lived with this girl. The only interactions you guys have had has been through video messages. So wait until you get to know her outside of prison to then marry her. And I said, Daniel is smart. Not Daniel. Robert is the only one in this group that's smart, because I'm looking at Daniel's mom like, why are you questioning Robert? Like, what Robert said didn't make sense. Are you mentally stable? What's wrong with you? So we find out that Daniel was actually supposed to parole to Robert's house. And Robert was very well like ready to take on the task of helping his cousin with his sobriety. But he's like, Daniel's thinking with his dick, not his mind. And I said, Daniel probably is thinking with that, but also probably being greedy, thinking he gonna get all of Bianca's settlement money, because Bianca was stupid enough to tell Daniel how much settlement money she got. And to be honest, Bianca gives very much that like she will run through that money, because Bianca is delusional. She's delusional. So Robert and Bianca get away from the bar and they go sit out beside the pool to have a conversation. We end up seeing the mom and dad say they really like Bianca, but they can tell that Bianca has a drinking problem, and they're worried about her being around Daniel because Bianca is committed to still living life as though she is not trying to commit herself to a recovering or still like a drug addict and alcoholic. So while they're sitting by the pool, Robert is like, how do you feel about Daniel relapsing while he's in prison? And Bianca's like, well, it's not like he purposely did it. In order to relapse, you purposely have to do it. She was like, Daniel did try fentanyl while he was in prison, but I think that's because of what was around him. No, ma'am. He tried fentanyl because he wanted to try fentanyl. Okay, like, what are you talking about? And Bianca's like, I think people are not giving Daniel credit. Like, I think, he's going to be okay. And I said, you're stupid. And everybody in this family knows you have a drinking problem, because even Robert was like, I don't know how long their relationship's going to last. And he's like, I'm hoping that my cousin doesn't relapse, because I can tell that Bianca has a drinking problem. Yeah, clear as day. When a family full of drug addicts and alcoholics can tell that you have a drinking problem, girl, you got a drinking problem, because they can spot it. So it's the day of Daniel's release. Bianca got an attitude because Daniel's family wants to be there when he's released, and she feels like that was supposed to be their moment. Girl, you just met him a couple of months ago. Shut up, Bianca. She's so selfish, and it's annoying. It's so annoying. So then she got an attitude while she putting on her makeup, being like, I need to find an outfit that's not like sexy or too much. Girl, she put on a tank top. And I'm like, you thought that was sexy by putting on a tank top? Like, she's like, my outfits are too risque. Bianca, all you do is wear tank tops and jackets. That's not risque, girl. You don't even have titties for all of that. So calm down. So she's like, my friends told me to be respectful because his family's there. But it's just like, this was supposed to be our moment. And I'm just like, she's so selfish and delusional. So she pulls up to the jail. The family's excited because they haven't seen him in years. We actually meet this girl named Sarah, who's supposed to be Daniel's cousin. Robert is the only one speaking sense because everyone, like, Bianca has an attitude because Robert keeps referring to Bianca as Daniel's girlfriend. And the cousin is like, well, no, that's his fiance. Like, I'm someone's fiance. And Robert's like, but she ain't got no ring. So what is she? And then the mom was like, well, what if he comes out and proposes to you right out? I said, oh, you're delusional. The mama's not mentally stable either. Bianca's like, that would be gross. And I said, yes, it would. For him to get out of prison and then get on one knee and propose to you, that's crazy. So then we see Robert and the cousin actually do a interview, and Robert is just kind of like, I'm hoping for the best for them, but I don't see it lasting. And I agree with Robert. So let's get to Crash Out Zaria. So we open up where we left off, where she just threw her bra and her recording pack on the ground. She almost slammed the door on the female producer's hand. Now we have the female producer telling the production team, like, go, 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 like, get away from the scene because they can't predict what Zaria is about to do next. Karen pretty much is like, I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to wait. Hopefully we going to get to Buffalo because that's the only way I'm going to get there is if they drive me there. We then end up seeing Troy get kicked out of the room. She's still yelling. Troy is like, hey, Zaria, just let me back in. Let me back in. She's like, no. He tries to open up the door again. She pushes the door, shuts it in his face again. And then eventually she lets him back in. So Troy is like, just talk to me. Talk to me, Zaria. Talk to me. So when Troy gets back in the room, she's like, why does your baby mother know about my infidelity, Troy? Why does she know this? And so we end up finding out Troy explains the same story that, like, while he was incarcerated about a year ago, Zaria cheated on him with somebody else. And he was like, I wasn't really about to give her another chance, but I decided, you know what, let's like work this out. At first, I was just going to be like, we could just be friends, but I thought about it and I wanted to work it out. So then Zaria is like, I'm tired, Troy. I'm tired. You haven't even been out that long. And oh, look at all of this. And I'm looking at her like, all of this is your fault. Like, what? Like, all of the drama is your fault, Zaria. Like, Karen having her moment where she freaks out at church because she tripping off of them CBD gummies was your fault because you invited Karen without telling Troy, knowing that Troy does not have the best relationship with his mother. And this meltdown that you're having is because you're insecure and you are afraid that Troy is going to leave you for Yana and his daughter. And honestly, he should, especially after this display. Because as they're arguing in the room, like, Zaria keeps bringing up, you left. I didn't have your phone number. You just left. You just left. So she is scared that he's going to leave her and she's going to be rejected. So that's why she wilding out. And so Troy was just like, I only talked to Yana about my daughter. Like, I don't want her, and I'm sorry that I left without telling you. So then we see them move into the kitchen, and Zaria's in her confessional being like, I feel like my mind is being played with. I feel like he's playing with my mind. I said, no, that's you. You playing with your own mind because you made this situation so much more than it had to be because you're insecure. So Troy ends up apologizing again for leaving, saying how much he loves her. They end up hugging in the kitchen. He's like, don't take that ring off anymore. She was like, if it comes off again, I'm done with you. I'm done with you, Troy, if I take this ring off. So Karen's happy because now they about to get in the car and head to Buffalo. So while they're in the car, Karen is like, I want you guys to work. You want to have a 15-year anniversary. Karen also says she popped like 3 CBD gummies and she taking anxiety medication. I said, okay, Miss Karen. And while they're in the car, Zaria is applying more foundation and powder to her face, or whether I guess she's blotting her face because maybe she has oily skin. Either way, she's making her acne worse, and it bothers me because I'm like, you're caking makeup or foundation or concealer or powder over acne, making your face dirty. And when your face is dirty, acne thrives. So leave your face alone. Stop putting that stuff on there because it makes it worse. So they pull up to Karen's house. We see his sister. Girl, that wig. That wig was so horrible. She got it swooped to the side with a clip. There's the part, but the part isn't plucked. I said, why would you put that on? And mind you, the girl looks exactly like Karen. She looks exactly like Karen, just younger. We also see her his cousin who's excited that he's back. There was other people there hugging him. The sister says that she wished Troy would have paroled to Buffalo instead of Syracuse because she's like, at least he has family here. And she was like, she likes Zaria, but like he needs more family. And I get what she means. We then see Zaria. She is definitely nervous and uncomfortable, waiting for the baby, little Troy, to get there. Mind you, anytime I have met a girl that is named after her father, normally that means her parents are madly in love or they fight like hell because they still love each other. Because they still love each other, but they toxic. So the fact that Troy's daughter's name is Troy, they just spell it with 2 I's, is funny to me. She's also such a pretty little girl based off of the pictures that we see. And then I saw her in the trailer. She is cute as I don't know what. And Troy gets emotional in the confessional because he's like, it's been 7 years since I've seen her. Like the last time I saw her, she was only a few months old. I've missed out on a lot and I want to be there for her. And I hope he's actually being true to that statement and being there for his daughter. We see Zaria asks Troy's sister, how is little Troy getting here? And the sister was like, oh, I think her mom's bringing her. And she's really uncomfortable. Zaria is like, has an attitude. Troy is like, are you okay? And she's like, Troy, stop asking me that. I'm telling you, stop asking me that. We actually see Yana pull up with the daughter and it goes off from there. So we will actually get to see Yana and and Zaria meet. And mind you, Yana is thick. She thicker than a bowl of grits. Okay, she is thick. So the last couple we're going to talk about is True and Shantae. So it's the day of True's parole hearing in which he finds out if he's going to get house arrest or go back to jail for violating his parole by not telling these people where he is officially staying, basically lying because he was supposed to be paroled to his mom's house, but the mama kicked him out after he did some things she didn't like and he was staying with some lady. On top of that, it feels like True wasn't checking in with his PO either. So Shantae is waking up already with an attitude because she's worried about whether or not True is going to go back to jail or not. She's already prepared for if he does go back to jail. And she says she's not going to like check on him or wait for him. She also feels like True isn't taking this situation seriously because his time to meet with the parole officer is at 10 a.m. and he picks her up like around like 9:30, 9:40. So they're both kind of freaking out. We find out that True gave Shantae access to all of his bank information just in case if he gets locked up again. So they get to wherever he needs to get to actually have the hearing with his PO. And we find out that he, in fact, gets house arrest. But Shantae has an attitude because True is doing his house arrest in, I think it's Cape Girardeau where he stays. And she is kind of pissed that he didn't want to do his house arrest at her place. So they're not sure how long the house arrest is going to be. I think they said it could be up to 2 years. And so she's pissed because she's like, bro, I'm pregnant. Like, Why would you not do your house arrest at my residence? Like, are you serious? And True is very much serious that they doing house arrest. He doing house arrest at some chick named Peppa's house. So she's irritated. She's just looking at him, like scowling at him in the car. And he's like, what? So True gets a phone call from his sister-in-law named Kels, and she's like, "Hey, why don't y'all come pull up on me and come get some food?" Because she was at some barbecue restaurant. So they pull up at the barbecue restaurant. We see Kels, girl. She is just a catch me outside girl at 30, in her 30s. Because I said, Kelly. I know Kels is not your name, Kelly. And it's funny to me because they all come in the same font. You can like even down to the mannerisms and the laughing and the giggling. I was like, my goodness, lady. I said, okay, Kelly. So when True and her see each other, they giggling, and Shantae is kind of irritated, but she's not irritated for the reasons that most people think. She was like, I don't believe that True and Kelly are messing around, or Kels are messing around, because that is her that's True's sister-in-law. She was just like birds of a feather flock together. Like, Kelly goes to the casino with him, and whatever True can't do, she does for True. So it's like she enables him. And they sitting at the table, they geeking and cheesing with each other. And then Shantae is like, who is Peppa? And Kels is like, oh, that's my homegirl. That's my homegirl. I said, girl, shut up. And so Kelly ends up asking a question about True, about their relationship. And she was like, oh, it's a situationship right about now. And she said, yeah, I've been in one of those before. And, True ends up saying something about how Shantae does for him, or like Shantae has to do things for him. Or it was something stupid where, again, it was a comment that True made that Shantae should have recognized, that he does not care about you. He's just using you because he knows you're his bottom girl and you're going to do whatever he tells you to do. So Shantae ends up getting up from the table to go to the bathroom. And while she's in the bathroom, Kels and True have a conversation where Kels makes True realize that the fact that he is doing his house arrest in their city means he's probably not really going to be seeing Shantae. And he shouldn't be expecting her to drive up and down the road like every weekend, because she's going to be full on pregnant. And a 5-hour drive is a long drive for somebody that's pregnant. All of a sudden, True is like, I didn't think of that. I was like, no, you don't think, because you're selfish. You didn't think about her because you're selfish. Like, what? And so he's expecting Shantae to go up and down the road to come see him, because at the end of the day, he thinks he's the prize. So Shantae's like, I want to meet Peppa. And he's like, okay, cool. Like, let's meet Pepper. And so they drive into Peppa's house. I don't know where she live. It gave me a what's it called? A campground type of vibe. Cause I was like, where is this? Shantae is like, it's kind of scary here. And he was like, for real. And then we see them go into the house, and then the episode goes off. I just think Shantae is just incredibly stupid. And I don't understand why she is willfully allowing herself to be played at this point, because at every turn, True keeps showing her that he does not care about her. And I feel like she wants to be chosen so bad. She's such a pick me that she wants this man to choose her so bad that she's willingly putting herself in danger. Because I'm like, there's no way at like whatever months pregnant she is that you should have been on the road driving, trying to catch up with him at 5 months pregnant. Like, the fact that he wouldn't slow down for you. And then we find out he was going to see some girl, that man is a bum and you're dumb. So yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. As always, remember to be bravely authentic, and definitely hop down in them comments below and share your thoughts with me. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.